defend the world from the return of the Shadow, just as the brave Pharaoh did 5,000 years ago.
YouTube, Vintage Yugioh here today, and we have a 10-card CGC return. So you've seen a couple CGC returns on the channel already. Not sure when this one's exactly going to get posted because it is a little time sensitive. It's got to be after my 5,000 subscriber opening because I sent a couple of those cards in here to CGC. So without further ado, though, we're going to get right into it. I know the grades once again. I cannot not look at grades. And really, even if I didn't, I would end up seeing them, trying to sort them in an order that makes sense anyway. So up first, we have a Dark Magician of Chaos. And this was a different copy than the one I did send in, but we see the 10 peaking there, but I did get an 8.5. Pretty strong grades, but got an 8 on surface, has a couple scratches on the back. But overall, with this entire set, I'm decently pleased. And definitely see where they're coming from on most of these grades. All right, up next we have a Ultra GBI God card, Winged Dragon of Ra. Pretty off-center, that's why I decided to send it here. And it did get the 9 with the 8.5 centering. So I think this is an overall really fair grade and paints a picture of, you know, the subgrades are pretty strong with centering being the downfall. All right, we have a couple ultimates here. Wing Karibo level 10. This thing was super off-centered, so this is why I sent it in to CGC, because I wanted to get those subgrades with the centering subgrade. And we have an 8 on centering, 9.5, 10, and 8.5 on edges. I thought that they were a little rough, strict on the edges. Don't really know where they got the 8.5, honestly. So this one is probably the one I'm most disappointed about because I thought for sure we'd get, you know, I think if we got a 9 on edges, we would have gotten a 9 overall, which would have been obviously better than the 8.5, but it is what it is. 2 more ultimates. This was a PSA 9, Different Dimension Master, and I just thought it was kind of undergraded. I mean, once again, though, like, let's look at this centering. And take a quick pause. What do you think the centering grade on this card is? I mean, if I'm looking at this, I'm like, you know, it could be a hair better. So I would think a 9.5, but we got a 9 on centering, but then 3 really strong surface, corners, and edges subgrades. So we did get a Gem Mint 9.5 on Different Dimension Master from CRV. So that one got a bump up from the PSA 9. And then here is another one that was a PSA 9, Miracle Fusion. I thought once again it was really strong. And I mean, you look at this centering looks the same, maybe even more shifted left to right than the Different Dimension Master, and it got 9.5 centering. So someone please write some AI software where you can lay this card down, have a camera directly over the top of it, and it measure pixels of the border, and then it plop out a ratio and then give you a defined 100% accurate centering grade, because centering grades should not be so hard to not mess up. Be consistent. Like, I just want consistency. So 9 on surface, 10 on corners, and 9.5. So we did get a 9.5 overall, but it's like, if this is 9.5 centering, then this is 9.5 centering. Like, it's very simple in my mind. So that's the one thing that keeps me scratching my head. But it is what it is. So here we have one card from the 5,000 subscribers. So spoiling it if you've not watched it. Even if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Some really epic, cool pulls in there. We have Relinquished. And I sent this here because it had a couple scratches. I knew it would not get a PSA 10. So just kind of wanted to test the CGC waters out. And it got a Mint 9 with 2 9.5s and 2 9s. So probably would have gotten a PSA 9, but I could have had some scratches, light scratches coming straight out of the pack. I could have definitely seen a PSA 8. So I think it's fair with the surface. Edges, once again, 9 on edges kind of has me scratching my head a little bit, but it is what it is. Overall, pretty fair grade with the 9 overall. And then up next, if you guys have seen the 5K video, you know this thing had some absolute, here, we'll flip it over here. This thing came out of the pack looking like it had just been scratched by some sandpaper or something. I mean, absolutely wild. So I knew this would get absolutely mutilated at PSA, and I really expected it, you know, to get possibly a 7, 7.5, or maybe even worse. I had no idea really at CGC on the surface, but I expected, you know, the edges, corners, and centering to be strong, so that's why I wanted the full picture with the subgrades here at CGC. And we did get an 8.5 overall, and pretty much the picture was painted how I thought the card should be graded. Really good centering, really good corners, edges, and then poor surface with an 8. So I thought this was a really fair grade, and once again paints an overall picture of the card's condition. Then we have a couple LOB cards. This was a PSA 8, these next two. We have a Mystical Elf Glossy, and this got an 8.5. So 2 9.5s and 8 on surface, because it's got like a weird, it's like a, I don't know if it was an after the fact thing, but it's got a weird like print line scratched there right through the Y on Mystical Elf. So that's where the surface issue comes from. But really strong centering and corners and edges. So got a slight bump on that one. And then here was a PSA 8 because the centering was so bad. So once again, wanted to paint the picture of this card truly is mint other than the centering, which no one could control after it got cut at the factory. So it did get the mint 9, and it got 8.5 on centering, and then, you know, as good as you could hope on the other 3, which this should carry more value in my opinion than, for sure, than a PSA 8, because, I mean, this thing is as mint as it can be based on how it was cut. So, I know a lot of people are centering sticklers, but I think this does carry the premium, because, I mean, this is, in theory, a stronger card than even some PSA 10s when you take centering out of the equation. So, and the last card of the submission, this was also a PSA 9. I thought it had a really good chance to do better. I thought it had a chance to get a PSA 10. I cracked it. This is kind of that 1.5 print. Blue Eyes White Dragon Unlimited. And we have the Gem Mint 9.5. 10 on centering, which I would actually agree with for once on the centering subgrade. 9 on surface, 10 on corners, and 9.5 on edges. So I thought it should have done better at PSA, and it did do very well here. So glad this has a 9.5. Unsure what I'm going to do with most of these cards. If you're interested, let me know on Instagram. And I'm not like super attached to any of these, but don't want to let them go for super cheap either. Don't need the money or anything. So, but hopefully you guys enjoy seeing, you know, some different perspectives from a different grading company. I'm just completely over Beckett at BGS at this point. There's subs and things like that have just not gone well. So CGC is definitely, you know, 1B behind PSA in my book at this point. And I know a lot of other people have kind of went that route too. And I mean, this was returned in like a week. So been very happy with them so far. So enough rambling on my end. Let me know your favorite card. Any comments, questions about CGC or grading, drop it in the comments. Subscribe if you have not. You know, hasn't happened yet, but thank you for 5,000 subscribers. It's been a very slow but fun, and you know, hopefully you guys learn and enjoy these videos. So that's going to do it. And as always, thanks for watching.